Hi, and welcome to part 8 of Let's Build a Chatbot in C# using Agent Framework. In this video, we are gonna extend one more feature. Last part we added image generation, but now we want to go the other way around, that we want to be able to actually give our chatbot images and PDFs just like you can in ChatGPT. And in order for it to analyze about what is in PDFs and images. For this version, there is a breaking change where the existing conversation that you have already done, if you're further along, will not work anymore. I will explain a little later why. But if you want to follow along, you would need to go into your temp folder and delete the existing conversations, because I've changed the format of conversations in this version. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to run the system again. And what is new here is we have a plus button in order to add what we want of PDFs and images. And beyond that, if we take an image, let's say take this robot and say, what is this? We now see this small image up here of the image, but we are giving this image to the LLM so it can actually explain what is in it. And in the same manner, we can choose, for example, an Azure invoice and say, what did I pay in this invoice? The thing would be a PDF as input instead, and it will go in and figure out how much I paid in this case. So that's the new features. So why did we need to change the conversation format and stuff like that? So let's go into the code. So here we are in the code, and here are the changes I've made. So I'm primarily going to use the diff in order to show you where the changes are. Because we had our models with conversation and conversation messages, and inside those messages were the raw message, the chatbot message that Agent Framework uses directly. And that was okay right now because we wanted to save every single little thing we sent along to the LLM. But now that we're sending images, these JSON files down here were beginning to become rather big because they had the base 64 version of the image. And I don't think that's a good way. We could have stayed that way, but in order for us to not have that, I rather wanted to make this a little more lean in making it fully our own system. So now we don't have the raw message, but we are simply just saving each message, where we are saving content and now also attachment. And because we can do that attachment using a relative part now, it doesn't fill up in this file. So this is the main reason why we had a backward compatibility with these files. So the conversation now, instead of making a raw message, meaning chat message, it just on each message itself store the raw role, text, and content, and uses as we did before. And now we have the attachments as well, next to the image part. So we're just getting rid of that we were not really in control, because chat messages fit our system well so far, but suddenly there was something in there, meaning the base 64, that didn't fit us. So that's the reason why I made this change and refactor. So if we look at that, we then now just have the conversations. Jump over here. And whenever we add a conversation, there might be some attachments now as well. And those attachments or simply just a file name. So this is the original file name. The stored file name will just be a file name with a grid, the content type if it's PDF or images, and the relative part where we store it, because we are using the app data of our system. Let's go into chatbot and the source. There we can see the app data here where the file uploads are. You can see I've used this robot a few times. So that's what we have changed here. And in order for us then to send these messages along to the system, we of course need to have something that take a conversation, which is now a fully custom object, and turn it into a chat message. And that's what this little service does, that says, given a conversation, I can give the list of chat messages that the LLM need. So essentially we're just building up for each message of type chat message. Our conversation message, we build up to have a chat message. And we do that by on the fly building up the user messages with the text content like normal. And for each attachment, we actually read it from file and turn it into a content, an AI content down here with the data content as a base64. So the base64 still happens, but only up against the LLM, not inside our conversations. Because in essence, whenever we do this, it is very, very simple because we just need to give AI content to the LLM, and that's the only thing we do whenever we send one of these. So if I set a breakpoint here and go into a new chat, and let's say we send this invoice. And we send here. And we want to send the conversation message. What is this? Role user with that one attachment being this attachment file. We are essentially just sending the content of a text content and a data content. So I have a previous video in the Agent Framework series where I show this in a little more detail, but essentially we're just taking the content, turning it into base64 and sending it just like we would send text. In this case, it's a PDF, but it could also be an image. So that's the only thing LLM-wise we needed to change. So had I not needed to do these conversions, there would not have been too much code here. But I found it to be the right time to actually get rid of the raw message in there. But essentially, that's just what we're doing whenever we send things along. So when we get our messages here, that's the messages we're going to send along to the system when we do the streaming or the normal non-streaming. So there's nothing more to it from the LLM perspective. And it would, of course, answer back. So what else have we changed? We have made our chatbot have a system to upload files, of course. This is just normal Blazor uploading of files, nothing special in there. Just a normal file upload input file here. So when we do that and we send the message, of course we need various things for uploading the storage and changing it into the new mapper. There's a little thing about how big the files can be at maximum, and pending files should of course be there while we choose one or more files. We then check if we just send a file, not just input. So now it can't go that we not even send a file, or or a message, but we can actually just send a file and it will begin to interpret from that. In here we just make the attachments and we are saving them as files. And that is just normal files to a place we save. And in that place we save right now is our app data folder, as I showed before. So this is just normal Blazor writing files down to a folder and returning a conversation attachment. So nothing special there. Okay. So we of course reset things on the fly, and we have our pending attachment. So nothing major there. And again, whenever we send, we just get our new chat messages instead of the raw messages prior. Inside the image generation tool, we just need to generate a conversation message instead of one with a raw message. So that's the only change there. There's a bit of CSS. We won't go too much into detail of that. And we of course need to set our new singletons for our services. And we need to use static files in order for us to work with these files. And because we want to see the images on the screen, we also need a small map get in order for the GUI upfront to actually show the images on the fly as a service in here. So that's actually everything there is to it. Again, it could have been much simpler, but because we just put in the content. And if you want to see more, let me open that up, because I do run all these other samples. So let me open up another Visual Studio. Just if you want to be more familiar with the input, I have in my samples the input PDF and image, where you can see that I have some images of some board game, and this exact same code where we end up creating either local page images and making them into text content. We could also have made the images, make them be a URL and then given the URL to the LLM, but that is not possible here because we are running localhost, of course. But I have more information if need be in that sample. But that's actually everything there is to it. It's a very simple part. There is a few limitations in what I built here. So for example, we haven't really built that the image generator together with the image recognizer can do things. So it's not like we can do the same as what they can do in ChatGPT, that you can upload an image and say, now turn the background green, for example, or something like that. That doesn't really work here because we don't really have a concept of sending the existing image and actually doing image editing instead of image generation. But that could be done, but I have chosen not to put this in right now. We might do it at a fit and finish session at some point. But that's everything there is for this today. See you on the next one.